I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime.
He's going after blue states, Democratic states. It's just part of a larger strategy to create chaos.
I mean, President Trump is right to want to protect Americans. He's putting America first.
The states are still deemed to be supreme with respect to the enforcement of criminal laws. The extent to which the federal government can pressure them to adopt federal policies is minimal.
President Trump going after crime, specifically here in the District of Columbia, but a national issue politically. Politico says Trump is leaning in on crime. Democrats need a better response and fast. Despite polling showing how unpopular Trump's moves are in Washington, the president is playing to a national audience, betting this is a battle he and the GOP can win. If his recent escalation was an attempt to goad Democrats into declaring that crime isn't a problem, repelling swing voters in the process, top Democrats did not disappoint him. New York Post cover, "Oh, safe can you, D.C.?" With that, we'll start with the panel. Josh Holmes, co-host of the Ruthless podcast, former chief of staff to Senator Mitch McConnell, Democratic campaign consultant Kevin Walling, and Mary Catherine Ham, Fox News contributor. Okay, Mary Catherine, it seems like this politics is flowing one way, and it's towards the president.
Yeah, it's interesting that Politico piece is a masterpiece of a couple of paragraphs of like, we totally misunderstood the national mood. Here is what the national mood actually is. Because in D.C., there is a very liberal population that's going to be mad about this, right? But he has considerable powers in D.C., which is a federal district, and then you have, for a week at least, 0 murders, which many people will acknowledge is better than several murders per week. And a lot of people just go, this seems like a no-brainer. Now, he has fewer powers other places. There are trade-offs of having large law enforcement presences and military presences in our city's streets, but most folks are going to be like, this seems like it's getting to a problem and solving it.
Kevin, I rarely credit MSNBC in the interviewing of top Democrats, but here's Chicago's mayor.
Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing. Look,
okay,
I'm not saying that we don't.
That's not the question I asked.
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? Would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported.
I mean, that could be in an ad somewhere, Kevin, especially in Illinois.
It certainly will be, likely with the midterms coming up. Listen, I think Democrats have to be smarter about this issue. I think the president is really good at picking out foils and challenging them. Right now, it's J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, Governor Newsom in California. And I think Democrats need to meet the president halfway. The National Guard is great at responding to natural disasters, to fighting our wars overseas. They're not great at urban crime fighting. What we need to do is be smart on policing. Let's say that we want to fund the police as Democrats. We want to fund community policing. We will point out where this administration has actually cut resources and grants for community policing and stopping violent crime in our streets. But the solution is not the National Guard on the streets of Washington, D.C. The solution is meeting the president where he's at, acknowledging the fact that crime is a problem in this country, especially in these cities, not pushing it away and saying it doesn't exist or that statistics have said it's come down, but acknowledge how people feel and tackling it head on.
Josh.
I mean, if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The greatest gift that Donald Trump has is getting his political opponents to adopt the most absurd possible political take, the most unsustainable political position. You come out, it's either pro-crime or it's a variation of how much crime is enough, right? Is it okay to have a murder rate at X or at Y? And he's basically saying if there's something that you can do about crime, maybe you should do it, which is the question that any reasonable person across the country would ask themselves. And you have so many cities at the same time that have been led by these progressive leftists that have tried to defund the police or otherwise do nothing to try to keep their communities safe. It's obvious to a whole lot of people across this country. We just had an election where there was a real definitive opinion on it, and now he's having a national fight about it. It's a huge winner for him.
Cabinet meetings. I mean, think about this cabinet meeting today. It's 4 hours long. Yeah. It was broadcast all day long, and every person who talked had some nugget of news. There was a lot of them, a lot of different ones. Here's the HHS Secretary, RFK Jr.
We will have announcements as promised in September. We're finding certain interventions now that are clearly, almost certainly causing autism. And we're going to be able to address those.
So there has to be something artificially causing this, meaning a drug or something. And I know you're looking very strongly at different things, and I hope you can come out with that as soon as possible.
Saying that autism, they're going to have a report in September. But I mean, it wasn't just that. It was the Treasury Secretary saying tariff revenue up above $500 billion, maybe $1 trillion before the end of the year. It was a number of different things in a cabinet meeting that spanned all kinds of different subjects.
Yeah, I love to see it unabashedly, and would from another president of another party as well. We did not have a lot of talking in public from the last president. I think this is preferable. It's a no-brainer for the administration to get out there and talk about accomplishments and pitch their story. And also in this, one of the nuggets was that Secretary of Defense noted the Abbey Gate 13 that Donald Trump had honored earlier in the day, who died 4 years ago at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan. And that is some of the most high-profile recognition they have gotten inside a White House, because the Biden administration in a shameful way, did not acknowledge them for a very long time. So there's a moment to do things like that and to elevate people who deserve to be elevated.
Kevin, the Witkoff interview, optimistic, saying you could get to the end of it for Hamas and Israel by the end of the year. Less so, perhaps, for Ukraine and Russia?
Less so, certainly on that front. And I think, interestingly enough, what you did in terms of putting that out there in terms of a maximum pressure campaign and in questioning that, it seems like Vladimir Putin is backing away from the table. Will maybe take a playbook out of the president's playbook with Iran on that front. It was an interesting answer that it may be under consideration. You kind of broke that news tonight, Brett, so we'll see how that process plays out.
Josh?
I just commend the effort. In all honesty, I don't know if the beginning of the Trump administration you would say that this could be the most consequential foreign policy president of our era. But there's no political capital that he needs to go solve the world's problems. But when you recognize that America is the leader of the free world, as Donald Trump does, that obligation comes naturally. They're seeing it all the way through. Obviously, it's not done, and it's going to be a lot of hard work, but I commend the effort.
I'm going to leave this panel with Secretary Rubio, who really nailed it. Take a listen.
You were elected as the president of working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so
4 jobs. The president liked that one.